Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel may be the world's safest country when it comes to fighting fires. A historical find is made in northern Israel, and an Israeli study has some bad news for the modern man. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. A major terrorist attack was attempted this afternoon at the Damascus gate in Jerusalem, and 2 Israeli women were seriously injured. According to the latest reports, 3 terrorists arrived at the scene carrying automatic weapons, pipe bombs, and knives. Police were suspicious of the 3 Palestinians and approached them to ask for their identification papers. One of the terrorists then pulled out a machine gun and shot 2 Israeli policewomen. Other officers in the vicinity quickly responded by returning fire, killing 2 of the terrorists and seriously wounding the 3rd. One of the Israeli women wounded is in critical condition, and the other was seriously injured. Both are being treated at a Jerusalem hospital. All 3 of the attackers are allegedly from the West Bank, and police say they're all 20 to 21 years old. The Israeli Navy has had its hands full in the Mediterranean, with foreign ships from China, Russia, France, and Iran taking up residence in the area. While the situation may feel a little too close for comfort, it also gives the Israeli Navy a chance to show its dominance in Israel's waters. Ships from Russia, China, France, and Iran have been prowling the Mediterranean as the civil war in Syria rages on. While their ships don't directly involve Israel, the Israeli Navy is taking steps to make its presence known and prove it's a big man in the water, which the Navy says could also keep weapons shipments from reaching Hezbollah. The Navy is keeping a watchful eye on Israel's natural gas fields in the Mediterranean in an effort to deter foreign forces from interfering in Israel's underwater drilling efforts. Perhaps most impressively, the Israeli Navy has also taken a cue from the country's Iron Dome system and installed reactors on several of its ships. The reactors will have the ability to shoot down rockets from the sea, just like it does on land. Israel might just be the safest country in the world when it comes to combating fires. Israel's Fire and Rescue Service claims the number of casualties from fires has dropped dramatically. Commissioner Shachar Ayalon says only 9 people were killed in fires in 2015 due to massive investments in Israel's firefighting service. In 2010, over 70 people were killed in fires, and that number has steadily decreased over the last 5 years. Israel has invested over $500 million in combating fires and has hired hundreds of new firefighters. As a result, the average response time to a fire incident has dropped down to only 6 minutes. Israel's enormous investment was made after a devastating fire in 2010, which killed 44 people in the Carmel forest. The Jewish National Fund is now set to provide up to $63 million to create buffer zones near towns surrounded by trees and shrubs. There are over 450 Israeli communities near forests, and the new grant will help protect Israeli residents from deadly fires. Meanwhile, Israel has just announced a new program to deal with environmental hazards in Arab Israeli towns. The Environmental Protection Ministry has allocated $75 million to improve the infrastructure for waste collection in 73 Arab Druze and Bedouin towns. Many of these communities have numerous illegal waste disposal sites, particularly for construction waste. Waste is often burned, creating toxic gases which are polluting nearby towns. The initiative will give priority to towns that don't currently have regular waste collection. It aims to increase trash collection by at least 50% and make the process more efficient by replacing 2/3 of waste containers. The ministry also plans to promote the recycling of electronic waste, tree cuttings, packaging, and bottles. Have you ever tried to read a long article and gotten bored in the middle? Nowadays, most people prefer watching videos because they help you feel like you're really experiencing the story. Well, it looks like a new Israeli company might be changing the name of the game with a new service that takes any word combination and finds videos to go along with it. Yotam Cohen is a co-founder of Wibbits, and he joins us with more. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
What is Wibbits? Tell us about this.
At Wibbits, we created a technology that is able to turn any text content into a video summary automatically. We mainly work with publishers and help them to scale up their video business by turning all their existing written articles into videos. If you think about it, publishers publish around 200 to 400 written articles every day, but they're able to produce 5 to 10 videos. And we help them to produce tens and hundreds of videos every day.
So you're streamlining that process, and how does that work?
So I don't want to get too much technical, but we've built an algorithm that is based on NLP, which is natural language process. So the algorithm analyzes the text, understands what it's talking about. Then we summarize it, so the videos will be very short, around 45 seconds. We visualize it using images and videos and infographics to represent the text, and we turn the text into speech.
So let's put this in colloquial terms, right? So I say a sentence and then you essentially scan the internet for videos, or is it a certain video database that you guys have?
So it's not a sentence, it's a full-length article.
Right, an article.
So an article that talks about a bombing or something that they found out. And then we summarize it and we find the relevant footage from news agencies like Getty, Reuters, and others that are licensed and well tagged. And we kind of like combine it all together into a 45 seconds video.
So how many languages can the voiceover speak in? Just English or?
Yeah, so today we support 22 languages. Our main countries that we operate in is in US, Germany, France, Spain, and in Israel as well. We don't support Hebrew yet, but we plan to have it in the next year. We produce today more than 10,000 videos every day automatically.
Wow.
And it takes us about 10 seconds to produce a video.
Which is absolutely insane, because a human doing this on their own takes a couple of hours at least, right? So that's a lot of time saved. And so Wibbits only works with news right now, from what I understand, but do you guys have plans to expand the user content? Can individuals start using it, for social media or personal uses?
Yes, so first of all, we support 5 different verticals, which is world news, entertainment, sport, finance, and technology. We just introduced a new feature called social videos that enables those publishers to produce videos specifically for social networks. And we kind of see Wibbits as the play button for the web. So the idea is that no matter where you are, no matter what device you are using, you'll always be able to click play and watch any text brought into life.
How did you guys come up with this amazing idea?
So we started a company about 5 years ago, and we were part of an entrepreneurship program called the Zale program at IDC in Herzliya. The need usually comes from a personal need. So, we wake up in the morning, you open 10 tabs to catch up on the latest news, all these texts out there, and you ask yourself, why can't I have just this play button? I can just click play, get all the news brought to me, instead of reading all those articles. And if you think about it, for the past 300 years, the way we consume content hasn't really changed. So from the big old newspaper to our small device, we still consume content in a format of text. So we thought to ourselves, why can't we just tell a story in a different way?
Right. And how many publishers are you working with right now?
So we have about 100 publishers that work with us, including USA Today, Hearst Magazine, and big brand publishers from Europe.
So nobody would ever know that this is actually your technology that's being used to create these videos.
So we have a small markup of Powered by Wibbits, but the idea is really to help the publishers produce their own videos.
Right.
So we use their own brand, and it's being embedded on articles.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and looking forward to see how you guys expand.
Thank you very much.
Boys, take your cell phones out of your pockets and back up slowly. An Israeli study has found that overuse of cell phones may damage your ability to procreate.
Israeli researchers have found a link between cell phone use and a drop in sperm count. Their study indicates that men who use their mobile devices for more than 1 hour a day have double the risk of the sperm count dropping to levels too low for procreation. It turns out that cell phones can even be a problem when they're not being used. According to the research from the Haifa Technion and Carmel Medical Center, sperm count can also drop in men who keep their phones less than a half a meter away from their groins. And that's not all, men. Be careful not to talk on your cell when it's charging, because doing so also doubles the risk for low semen concentration. The loss in male fertility is apparently due to the radiation that comes from cell phones, which has also been connected to a drop in the global population of bees.
An Israeli hiker had quite an unusual experience during a hike in northern Israel when he randomly stumbled upon an ancient Egyptian artifact.
Amit Chaklai was taking a walk in the lower Galilee when he came across a tiny white object shaped like a scarab. It turns out he found a 3,500-year-old Egyptian seal. Archaeologists have already determined that it's an amulet from the New Kingdom period of ancient Egypt in the 16th to 11th century BCE. This isn't the first random discovery of an archaeological artifact in Israel. In November, an 8-year-old boy found the head of a 3,000-year-old fertility goddess figurine in Tel Beit Shemesh.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Ladies, after today's story about cell phone use and declining male fertility, it might be time to have a serious talk with your husband. Which brings us to today's word, Baal, which is used to say husband in Hebrew. Even though Baal is used to talk about your husband, it actually means owner in Hebrew. But don't worry, we'll get back to that controversial connection in a second. It turns out Baal is used in Hebrew for a ton of different word combinations. For example, Baal Habayit means homeowner or landlord. Now back to why Baal is also used for husband. The word has a long history in ancient Hebrew, and in biblical times, Baal meant that a husband is the owner of his wife. You would think that Israelis would find a new, less offensive term to women, but Israelis still use Baal to say husband. Don't stress, even though it sounds a little intense, it doesn't mean owner. Ask any Israeli and they'll tell you that the wife runs a show in Israeli households. After all, over here we like to say that the man may be the head, but the woman is the neck. And we all know that the neck turns the head whichever way she wants. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. The weather will be even more pleasant tomorrow. Thursday is expected to be 74 degrees and sunny. The sun will stay out through Friday with a high of 71. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.96 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.